Okay, everybody, we're back. Adam Hardman here with you at SMS Equipment at Show Place for the first ever HPTC Open Challenge. I'm joined by Mike Marusik as well as Mike Booth, who's with us down on the field. Of course, that first event, the all-out obstacle course, of course, Team Fast came in first place. They had a time of 7:24, but, you know, they lost a lot due to penalties there, so it's actually a lot closer than their time indicates. They'll be taking on limited edition in our third heat. They had the second fastest time. Chalk Dirty to Me. They are in at 8 minutes flat and an amateur hour at 8:17. They'll be in our second heat. Our first heat will be Flex Appeal against the Misfits, 10 minutes and 9 minutes and 27 seconds, respectively. All right, Mike, so we're into event number 2. We just had the all-out obstacle course. Incredible performances by all the teams. Just very impressive, especially given the cold weather here today. Now we're on to the sled sprints. Walk us through what we're going to see here in just a few minutes.
So sled sprints, you know, we got to talk strategy here. We've got an event in CrossFit, they call this 4-time event. So each athlete needs to go through a 3-part event, 25-minute time cap, starting off with 24 double unders or 72 single unders. Double unders means basically you're skipping rope and the rope needs to pass your feet twice before your feet hit the ground. Then they'll go into the next one. Next one is single overhead kettlebell lunge. So imagine a 35-pound kettlebell for female, 55-pound kettlebell for male. You're holding it up over your head. You're lunging. Your back knee needs to touch the ground for every rep. You can only transfer the kettlebell if your arm gets tired in a standing position. This is a hard one for balance. This is a hard one because the kettlebells are heavy. This is a tough part of the event for sure. We'll see some athletes struggling a bit. Then we go into the front squat. Okay, so we're looking at female front squat at 105 pounds. We're looking at male at 135 pounds. 12 front squats, so we're gonna get that barbell loaded. Team can help get the barbell up for each teammate, and then barbell is loaded up forward on the front of their body, going down, squatting, hips below parallel. Again, pretty tough for some female, for some males. We'll see some athletes just throwing that weight around like nothing. That's part A. Part A is over. Then we're going into part B, which is a stadium run. So we need to wait for the last teammate to finish part A into part B, where we're going to run around the stadium. It's about a 400-yard run. The whole team needs to compete it as a team. Then we're hitting the last part, part C of the event, sled push. We've got these amazing sleds from Fitness West. They're loaded with weight. They're heavy. They're going to be rolling on the turf, and it's going to be tough. There's a lot of friction. The athletes need to push the sled from one side of the field to the other side of the field and back. Every single athlete needs to touch the sled, push it for at least 5 yards.
All right, Mike, well, thanks a lot for that. That's absolutely incredible. So we're going to head down to Mike Booth. He's going to go down to the field. It's going to be an incredible second round here, our second event, the sled sprints here at the HPTC Open Challenge. HPTC Open Challenge here at SMS Equipment at Show Place, event number 2, the sled sprints. So this is going to be very impressive, Mike. I can't believe this is going to be even longer and harder than our first event, which was absolutely insane what we saw here. So we're going into our first heat. We're going to have the Misfits taking on MacDonald Island's team, Flex Appeal.
Yeah, 2 strong teams in Heat 1. This is a long one, 25-minute time cap. We're going to see most likely all teams hit the time cap, and this is going to be amazing. We're ready to go, and we're off.
All right, we're underway here in our first heat of the second event today, the sled sprints at the HPTC Open. These teams were kind of in that 5th, 6th position heading into round number 2, or I guess event number 2. But all teams made the time cap first time around. But you'd think this time, Mike, it's going to be a little bit harder. Of course, fatigue starts to set in a little bit.
Definitely. We're looking at our teams here. Both athletes elected to do single unders, so they have to do 72 single unders as opposed to 24 double unders. It may take a little bit longer. Maybe it's a bit of a strategy like we saw in event 1. Taking more penalties actually yielded a better finishing position for the teams.
So what would be the advantage of going with the single under as opposed to the double? Why would somebody choose that?
You need a lot less power for the single under. For the double under, you need a quick rotation of the rope. You need to jump a lot higher. So 72 single unders, probably the easy choice. you don't mess up. If you mess up on double unders, the reset takes quite some time too.
Gotcha. Usually what I do with a jump cord is I just kind of cut it in the middle. You kind of grab both hands. It looks like you can do all this crazy stuff. You look like Rocky Balboa up in the mountains in Rocky IV, getting ready for Drago, getting ready to end the Cold War. Well, we saw how that worked out for America. So, wow. But here we are. Now we're into the kettlebells. That's very impressive.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell there's a bit of a struggle with balance. You know, you're holding a 55-pound kettlebell over your head with just one arm, so you're naturally being weighted over to one side. You need to balance that off. You've got our first male athletes finishing that kettlebell single hand overhead lunge.
And of course, both teams in this first heat of the sled sprints, or second event here today, they got to make up some time, you know, because you look at Team Fast, who was in first place. We'll see them later on. Of course, they're led by Fraser O'Neill, the world record holder in our first event from the Fort McMurray Fire Department. Of course, Fraser's up right now. Actually, sorry, is that him warming up?
He's warming up.
So I'm just
yeah.
so mesmerized. The guy picks up a weight, and I
up.
automatically start literally talking about his warm-up as opposed to the event that's going on right in front of us.
Right on.
Jerry
right
will
on.
edit that out, though. That's going to be okay.
That's all good. We've got Naz from Team's Flex Appeal getting ready for those front squats. As Team Misfits is already on that front squat portion of the event.
But, of course, we're going to be here for a while with a 25-minute cap. I mean, just what's really impressive is just the endurance of the athletes because, you know, a lot of people can kind of do things for a short amount of time. I know I'm kind of in that boat these days. But to watch them be able to just continue, you know, with the reps, with the event, it's really been impressive, especially because I think it's like literally 7 degrees here in August.
In August.
Right?
We can't forget, too, this is event number 2. Event number 1 finished about 30 minutes ago when the athletes were lifting 405-pound barbells, deadlifting. So these guys are incredible. We've got Mandy here, watching Mandy on those double unders there. She's a CrossFit athlete, so she's going with the double unders. As you can see, 2 mistakes on the first 5, 7 double unders, and then she keeps going. This is costing her a lot of time.
Well, your judges are all over it here at MacDonald Island. They're keeping a tight watch on these competitors. Of course, we saw in the first event, the all-out obstacle course, we saw where some of the penalties actually hurt some of the teams. Like you look at Team Fast, they're still in first place. They had a huge time lead, but with some of those deductions, they only ended up with a 9-second advantage over limited edition. But we'll see them here in the third heat of this event.
Most definitely. And really, at the end of the day, the time doesn't count. Once you're through one event, the time is irrelevant. They finished first in the event. They got so many points for that first place. So as long as you get the points, you're good to go. Now we're watching Team Flex Appeal actually take the lead here in heat number 1 over the Misfits.
Yeah, they're looking pretty strong. Of course, they need the win. They're in 5th place heading into I guess we're not heading into, we're actually doing it right now.
Yep.
The sled sprints heat number 1. So very impressive.
We've got some really unorthodox technique here on the single unders here from Team Misfits. There's a bit of a kind of a skip, single-legged skip.
I know, right? You don't see Flex Appeal doing that, Mike.
No, you don't. Less strategy here on the Mac Island team. We're all about the grit.
I love it. Effort.
Yeah, effort, full on. So Mandy here finished her portion of the event. We're on to athlete number 3, Trace Bozarth, as we watch this former Monarch going with single unders as well.
Very efficient form there.
Yes. Yeah, you can see all those muscles flexed, tats popping out.
Yeah. Pretty impressive stuff, though.
Straight
So
form.
they're looking good. They got a bit of a lead here. You know, so like you said, 20 points for Flex Appeal in that first event. So that they're in 5th place going in. But like you said, it's really more about total points, not the spread in time. So the way this is set up, really, it's just what you got to stay close to those leaders. Yeah. But these teams here in the 5-6 are going to need a good performance to jump up.
Yeah, and we've got a third athlete there from Team Misfits putting down the kettlebell, switching arms. She's going to go into the front squat soon. 105 pounds for the females. Got to rack it up and go for 12 front squats as Trace Bozarth is now finishing his kettlebells.
So you see that with the kettlebell, Mike, you know, they kind of got it back. You mentioned the core strength, the balance, but, you know, is it the shoulder? Is it the trapezoid? What would you need to be training to make sure that you have that effective balance? There's a bit of a peculiar position holding it back there.
It's, you know what, it's no one single joint or muscle. You know, they need to train their shoulders, you know, their shoulder blades, the balance. it comes from your legs. If you don't have balance in the lower body, the upper body can't do it alone. So that's a full body movement, and that's what our fitness competition is all about. It's not about, like you said before, it's not about the bench press anymore and just the squats. It's about everything. It's functional movement, and we see these athletes tested at just about everything.
Well, let me tell you something, Gino. I'll only be training biceps and chest, brother, all day. Because you know what? Guns equal money, brother. I'd like to thank Macho Man Randy Savage for that inspirational quote. God rest his soul. Macho Man himself. But we're heading in here to kind of getting through this, I guess, first heat of the second event, the sled sprints, HPTC Open, SMS Equipment Stadium, Shell Place, MacDonald Island Park, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, Alberta. Can still remember that order of saying where we're from, right? So, but it's going very well. You know what? And it's great to see an event like this in the community. Of course, it's been a pretty busy summer in some ways here in Fort McMurray with Buffalo. So here we are at kettlebells once again.
Yeah, you can see great technique here from Kyla Butts, actually. She is doing really short steps, which helps to offset the balance challenge there. She went through that really quick. Now onto that 105 front squat. Let's see if she can power clean it herself. She needs to get this bar off the ground, up on her shoulders, rest that bar on her clavicle. There you go. Hip below parallel. Beautiful technique there from Kyla. She's really pulling her team forward.
Well, they're going to need some good performances, like we said, because this is the kind of the 5th and 6th place team in this event. And of course, one event to come after this, the HPTC Open Challenge. So this is kind of a pivotal point in the competition, right? We're kind of get through that first round, that first set of events, and now we're into this portion. So this is kind of make or break for some of these teams. So we'll see how this goes as we move on at the HPTC Open.
It's huge. It's huge. It's event 2. Yeah, this is where it all matters. And we see Team Flex Appeal heading out for the run. So they're 8 minutes into the competition, and they're already heading around the stadium. So really quick start there now. They need to stay together because they need to wait for the last athlete to finish before they can push the sled there.
Well, it seems like it's the old adage, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And so that's kind of, in this portion of the competition, that's what we're seeing. 25-minute cap on this. Maybe let our viewers know, Mike, they're 16:42 and counting down. At this stage, are they in good shape? Do you think this is puts them in a good position?
I think this is a good time. When you look at it, 4 people got through the part A of the event in about 8 minutes, 2 minutes per person. That's quick. They got through double unders, through the kettlebell lunges, as well as the front squats. Now they're off. And you can kind of see it. We were watching Kyla Butts. She was the last one to finish the part A, and now she's lagging behind a little bit. So hopefully her teammates will pull her through. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Mike, strategically. So as a team, you're looking at this, right? And you know your own capabilities as an athlete. You know your own capabilities as a team. You see the lead that you have. Are you thinking as a team right now, like as a team captain saying, hey, we don't need to push ourselves too hard because we got such a lead. Let's just make sure we manage it? Or are you thinking, we're in 5th and 6th place, we got to push through and just dominate a time?
You got to go hard. At this point, you got to push through. It's event 2. They need to build their position and improve their position going into event 3, our last event. And they need to push their teammates here to get through the course as fast as they can, because in reality, we just have the sled push left, and they just need to sprint over the concourse there.
See, I'd be stopping for a hot dog. I'd be stopping for a pretzel. You know what I would not be stopping for would be a ham and cheese sandwich. All right, so we're back here, Mike. We're here into our second event, the first race, Team 5, Team 6. Flex Appeal, who are your guys here at MacDonald Island, they're looking pretty strong. Probably an unsurmountable lead in terms of the actual heat. Hopefully that time will be able to put some pressure on Amateur Hour and Chalk Dirty to Me coming up in our second race here.
Definitely. And we were watching Team Misfits there going into their run, and yet again the same athlete that finished last, she's kind of lagging behind there, and they're about, we see Team Flex Appeal coming back to the stadium, all 4 athletes on the ground, ready to push that sled across that 105, 110 yards of the football field here.
So they're just kind of starting that second portion of this 25-minute cap, the sled sprints. And just, Mike, before I throw it to you, just for our people who are just tuning in, we're in the second event of a 3-event HPTC Open. Who we had kind of leading things off was the Misfits and Flex Appeal. They're in 6th and 5th place, respectively, going in. Team Fast was number 1 heading in. Limited Edition was second. Chalk Dirty to be third. Amateur Hour was fourth. We'll see them coming up here shortly. But big lead here for Flex Appeal.
Huge lead, and you can see that sled
Man.
being pushed. You've got it loaded with some weight, but in reality the weight doesn't matter. There's a friction, so this sled is awesome. You actually can set it on different grades. So we're set at grade 2. A lot of traction. It is heavy.
You can tell.
And you can tell this is Kyla Butts. She was throwing that 105-pound barbell around before, but now she is pushing with all her might.
Yeah, it's looking pretty strong right there. So, but you can't imagine how difficult that is, especially with what they've already done as a team. But they're getting into it. They're getting pumped up, and they're looking pretty strong here in this heat.
All right, and again, we're watching Team Misfits on their run, and Team Flex Appeal finishing that sled push. Trace Bozarth, they're heading strong through the gate, and now they have to come back too.
Man, this is going to be absolutely incredible. I mean, that's just half of this, right?
Yeah.
Incredible fitness from these people. Yeah. It's incredible to see the endurance, and you got to think of some of that dynamic training at the actual high-performance training center at Shell Place that plays a role in their success right here.
Yeah, and then you're looking at the lactic acid buildup at this point as we're watching both teams going through the sled push. And they're amazing. They're amazing. Their quads must be burning. Their glutes must be burning. Their shoulders are probably burning. And this is pure grit. 12 minutes into the event, still 12 minutes to go, and they're nearly done. They're doing awesome.
I don't think my preacher curls are going to cut it anymore. I better do some more prayer than that because I'd never be able to get through what these athletes are doing. It's absolutely incredible. Here in our first heat, Flex Appeal, they're off to a pretty good start here. They're going to win this one. It looks like the Misfits trailing quite substantially, but they're going to need to do a lot to catch up to some of those top teams. So absolutely incredible to see the endurance, especially given that it's probably 5, 6, 7 degrees. So not the warmest day for this event, but I guess this would be better. Let me ask you, would you be better off in like a 30-degree day, or would you prefer this as an athlete?
Oh, I think this is great, Adam. You can dress for this weather. We've seen some athletes shirtless already. We see some athletes in short sleeves. So clearly their core temperature is up. They're not cold. the sleds are really keeping them warm. Now with Team Flex Appeal pushing over the last 10 yards and into the finish line in nearly 13 minutes into the event. They did amazing. Finished first in this heat.
Wow, so that's pretty impressive there at 13 minutes because you were predicting some of the teams potentially would be up against that 25-minute bumper. Bumper, I don't even know what I'm saying. 25-minute cap. I can't even get the terms right anymore. Man, I need a coffee, I think. HPTC Open here at SMS Equipment Stadium, if I could say the word right, equipment at Shell Place. So we're continuing on with heat number 1. And here at our sled sprints, the Misfits looking to finish strong as I hit my head on the top of this wonderful, wonderful canopy that's keeping us warm.
SMS Equipment Stadium. As John Breyer now just pushed the sled 25, 30 yards over, really pulled his team through. We are looking at other teammates pushing 5, 10 yards here.
They're starting to look winded, Cotton. No, it's pretty strong performance. I mean, regardless of the time, just the ability to get through a course like this, it's absolutely grueling. So impressive to see this once again down here at field level. Now let me ask you about, we got 2 more races that's coming up. I'm going to ask you, Mike. You see some teams are kind of doing, one person kind of takes the bull by the horns, then they kind of maybe get picked up by a teammate. Or are you better off kind of doing more of a short sprint approach where everyone just kind of rifles through? Like, what's the best way to do it?
You always got to think about a transition time. That builds up. So every time you leave that sled and somebody else takes over, that's a second or two that can push you from 4th place to 3rd place. So if you have stronger athlete and they can push it over 20, 30 yards and they're still ready for the next event, I think that's the better strategy there.
Interesting, and that's where we talk about the athleticism, we talk about the endurance as Team Misfits wraps up their run. There is a skill to it. There is a strategy. There is a thought process that goes along with it as well. How you do things, the angles you take, the smart decisions that you make or don't make actually also play a role in a competition like this.
Everything does, and we are gonna see this in this event number 2, but we're also gonna see it probably in event number 3 where there's a lot of transition.
Well, you know what? That wraps up our first race here in this sled sprints. That was Team Misfits against Flexappeal. Flexappeal getting the win. We got 2 more heats coming up as part of this sled sprints at the HPTC Open at SMS Equipment Stadium at Shell Place. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to the HPTC Open. Adam Hardman with you once again with Michael Marusek here, field level, of course, right down amidst the action. It's Mike Booth. So we're moving on to our second race here in the sled sprints, our second event of the day. And, of course, we got Chalk Dirty to Me. They were 3rd place in round 1. They'll be over in, I guess, lane 1. And in lane 2, Amateur Hour, who are the 4th place team. So this is going to be a bit of a make or break because it's your 3rd, 4th place team going in. Flexappeal look really good in our first heat in this event. So this is going to be very exciting as we get ready to roll here in our second race. This is going to make a difference where they can put the pressure on those top teams. So we're over looking at Amateur Hour now. Of course, like I said, they were 4th place in round 1 with a time of 8:17. They got 30 points. So they're ready to get underway. So here we go, our second race in the sled sprints. I'm feeling the rhythm. I'm feeling the rhyme. It's sled sprint time. Because you know what? It's about 3 degrees. I feel like we could run a Jamaican bobsled. Maybe we run right over to Shea Max to go and get some wonderful Jamaican food when this is over. Don't tell the Fox Den. Maybe I'll go there first for a beer. So here we go, Mike. Second race. Amateur Hour are in lane number 2. Chalk Dirty to Me in lane number 1.
Yeah, and we saw right off the bat there was a difference. One team going with the single unders, one team going with the double unders, and you can see double unders unbroken, and he's already moving that kettlebell around. So that's creating a sizable lead already.
It's the only kettle I use, a kettle corn, but they're in the kettlebells. He looked pretty strong there, so we'll be able to see if they'll be able to actually put some pressure here on these top teams. But Flexappeal had a pretty good time in that first race.
Yeah, good showing. We're watching kettlebell there from Chalk Dirty to Me here, moving the bell quite strongly forward. But you can see there's a little bit of a shake his elbow. So one of the rules for this event, your elbow cannot break below 90 degrees. So your arm needs to stay pretty straight there in it.
Be interested to see what the ruling will be from the judges. I think he may have just been kind of within the limit, but we'll see what the call is on the field. I'm sure Mike Booth will find out for us. He knows everything down there.
Mike knows. And then, these are great double unders. Oh, look at that. Beautiful form from Kate Evans. She is a CrossFit crude athlete, so this is second nature for her. Doing amazing with those double unders, running quickly through the kettlebell lunges. These guys are making a good time here.
Yeah, both teams off to a pretty hot start here in this second race of the sled sprints. This is kind of your 3-4 matchup. Of course, our 2 leaders, Team Fast and Limited Edition, they'll be in our 3rd race in this event. So we'll see what these teams can do. Flexappeal had a pretty good time there in that first heat. That could move them up the rankings, but these teams are also off to a good start. So it's looking pretty strong so far for these teams that they're going to have some good times.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got another athlete there. Kate is just racking up that barbell for front squat. We see the form is a little shaky at this point. We are in event 2, so they went through event 1 with deadlifts and some crazy running on the field. She just went through some double unders and kettlebell lunges. So all these exercises are really taxing lower body, and now she really needs to activate those glutes and those quads and keep that back straight.
So it looks like so far right here we've got Amateur Hour, who's in lane 1. They've got a bit of a slight lead, but I could be wrong, or maybe I got it mixed up. It's the other way around, isn't it? So
yeah.
That's where Mike, I want you to correct me on those.
Yeah, Chalk Dirty to Me.
So they've got a lead.
In a bit of a lead with Kate Evans finishing here, and Amateur Hour with Rebecca and Julie, Matt and Ludi. They are hitting the ground strong as well. And now Phil Howell with an interesting technique. He's hopping about a quarter of an inch there, maybe. Quarter of an inch off the ground with the single unders.
I really think the key to his success is that Hulk Hogan bandana, brother. That's really helping him out. You can talk fitness all you want, but really style is what matters in an event like this. And so Phil definitely doing very well on both fronts.
Agreed. And he forgot about the kettlebell. All good. Long stride will help him out. This guy is about 6'7", NFL kind of athlete. He is going. And on the other side, we've got front squats here with 105 pounds there. Couple lost reps. You can tell she's having a really hard time getting down and getting up. Her quads and her hammies, everything burning at this point. And up good.
But that's impressive. You got to push through there, and she's certainly doing that, making sure that they have a chance here in this second race of our sled sprints, our second event at the HPTC Open here at SMS Equipment Showplace, MacDonald Island. Things are looking good.
Phil Howell finishing his kettlebell lunges, throwing that kettlebell down. Those 55 pounds.
Let's hope that he can remember the next portion of the event, unlike what he did there in his transition there before. Like you said, that stuff matters, right? You got to make sure that every part of the competition goes well for your team, and that's where teamwork matters and having that communication on the ground.
Yeah, every second matters. And you can see here Phil in a bit of a disadvantage because he's so tall. He's got a lot of ground to cover going from up all the way to his squat. His hips need to go below parallel. So as opposed to maybe some athletes that are below 6 feet tall, he's got a bit of a disadvantage. Now we're watching our other team with kettlebell lunges, solid form, great balance. The kettlebell is up, arm is straight. He's doing awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the best performances we've seen in this portion of the event. So pretty steady for them. Let's see if these times at the end of it will be able to push the top two teams. Flex Appeal will be putting some pressure on as well after their impressive performance there in the first race of these sled sprints.
Yeah, and we've got Danielle Newton there for Chalk Dirty to Me on her kettlebell lunges. Again, another great form. Fantastic balance, keeping it straight. Adam spoke to this earlier. You want to keep everything straight. You don't want to go sideways at all. That's losing time.
So Chalk Dirty to Me looking pretty good right now. But this is a pretty tight one between these two teams. Chalk Dirty to Me, they were in third place after round one. Amateur Hour were in fourth. So your 3-4 matchup in this second event, these sled sprints, very impressive. It's crazy to see what these people have done. I know they train on a regular basis, but to see it up close is truly something special. So hats off to Mike and all the work that you're doing at the High Performance Training Center at MacDonald Island, and Synchrony Sport and Wellness Center, Orange Fitness, all our community partners, YMCA Thickwood,
CrossFit Crude.
CrossFit Crude. The list goes on and on, but it's impressive to see the level of fitness and health and wellness in our community.
Okay, Chalk Dirty to Me is off to the stadium run. Again, about 400 yards. There's some stairs too, so you see them running up the stairs. Now, running up the stairs is hard on a day where you don't do 400-pound deadlift, where you don't do 135 front squats. Now, these guys just went through 2 events, running around the stadium, going hard.
Well, they have a pretty sizable lead as well, so we'll see if they'll be able to extend it. I mean, they'll be able to maybe put some pressure on the top teams with a good time. They were 8 minutes in our first event. That got them into third place. So we'll see. Yeah. Fourth place. We'll see what happens.
And we're watching Julia Goody here. She is a physiotherapist out of Axel Physio.
Oh, don't tell me that, brother.
Kimberly. And she's doing good for her team for Amateur Hour in the second place in this heat.
See, I wouldn't call my team Amateur Hour because I think that just sets up a, kind of a negative expectation. But whatever works for them. I certainly can't do what they're doing out there, so I'm not gonna say too much to them. But
maybe we'll alter the team names here. We'll go to Professional Hour and maybe from Misfits to, I don't know, Fits.
And we'd like to thank Brandon Cooper, of course, for all his work in the community and keeping us well caffeinated during this HPTC Open here at SMS Equipment Stadium, Shell Place. A beautiful 7-degree day in August in Fort McMurray.
As we have Team Amateur Hour running through that stadium.
See, this is where I'll be talking to the hospitality department at the RRC here at MacDonald Island. They're running by the concession. That's a revenue opportunity. Because I know as an athlete, I'd be maybe stopping for a hot dog, for a pretzel. Definitely would not be stopping for a ham sandwich because that's not what I would ever eat in society.
on white bread.
Oh, this coffee's going to be incredible as we take off here into the middle, really, of this event so far. Amateur hour, I guess, this could be trouble for them because they're well behind here.
They are, you know what, Adam, they're 9 minutes into the event. They're well behind the pace of the first team that finished here, Team Flex Appeal. Our MacDonald team, they really set the pace for this event.
Yeah, they had an incredible run, so I think, depending on what happens here, you're going to see maybe some movement in the standings.
Hopefully. Team MacDonald representing the HPTC, High Performance Training Center.
Yeah, truly a special facility, and another thing that Shell Place brings to the community, but all your fitness options taken care of, and you can just see the way these athletes are performing. They're obviously taking advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, we see the run here, and as one team is moving into the sled push, we have a lagging team with Ludi in the lead there, just about 200 yards into the stadium run, and the push sled is taking place on the field. We're going to see what kind of strategy these teams are choosing.
So I think it's going to be pretty tight. I mean, Flex Appeal had a great time there in the opening heat, so I think Chalk Dirty to me has their work cut out for them if they're going to meet that time. But I think it's going to be pretty close depending on how they do in this final portion of the sled sprints, our second heat, our second event. Of course, the grand finale coming up later on, the HPTC Open Challenge within the HPTC Open. I'm really struggling to say HPTC. Today's broadcast not brought to you by those letters, apparently.
and we're looking at Chalk Dirty to me here, and Team Amateur Hour, head-to-head in heat number 2, event number 2. You can see the athletes. They're just getting through the last bit of Part B of event 2. Just finishing the last 150 yards of the stadium run, as Team Chalk Dirty to me is closing on that first bit of the sled push. Caitlin Evans, Daniel, Joey, and Phil Howell.
Well, you see with Phil Howell, I know in the squats he's at a disadvantage because of his height, just the amount of leverage, just gravity alone, no matter how strong you are, it's just the distance you have to go. In an event like this where he's got that upper body leverage, he can put his team at a huge advantage. Is that right, Mike?
His stride, like I said, he's 6'7". He is a beast. We're gonna see it now. He is pushing that sled, and every step is like 2 yards.
He reminds me of when I played university basketball and I looked down on the lane and see a guy like him and I said, I'm just going to shoot 3-pointers, brother. Don't worry about it. I'm not coming into your house. No ham sandwich for me.
But then he blocks you from the key,
You know what? He's looking impressive. Exactly. I'd fly out from the key and then I'd yell at the refs and usually get the call because of my persuasive communication skills. Finishing up this second heat here of the sled sprints, Adam Hardiman, Michael Marusek, Mike Booth is with us down in the field. We won't tell the viewers he's literally probably 8 steps away from me because we're technically all on the field at SMS Equipment Stadium.
Yeah, now this is a great shot. We see both teams, but one team coming in the last 20 yards and one team still having about 120 yards to go.
I think they're going to be ahead of where Flex Appeal is. If this holds, they'll have a slight advantage if I'm not mistaken. Don't have the official times in front of me.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Last 5 yards, Phil Howell pushing them over the edge. All teammates need to cross the finish line. There they go.
And they finished very strong, so your winner in that second heat is Chalk Dirty to me. Chalk Dirty to me.
And now we're going to witness the last bit of this event, watching Amateur Hour pushing that sled. Now, looking at these athletes, the quads are taxed. The glutes are taxed. Everything is. Your calves, your upper body, your lower body. These guys, this is just pure grit at this point. Lactic acid buildup, huge.
Yeah, it's impressive to see them finish strong, but of course they got to go back. And now it's a bit of a race against the clock because I think Flex Appeal was right around that 12-minute mark, so a bit of a 13-minute performance. So I think they're going to be behind that. So you're going to see Flex Appeal at least even things up with Amateur Hour at minimum, depending on how our other teams do.
And you can kind of see here interesting technique from Julia. She's keeping the sled close to her body. There's something to be said about that versus having her arms straight. What we see here from Ludi. Again, different techniques work for different people. Now he's really taxing his shoulders too. So, this form allows him a little bit longer stride. But again, shoulders are burning.
Yeah, you're relying on different muscle groups, right? And of course, we're not feeling what they're feeling in terms of what they've put their bodies through in the first two portions of the event, right? So sometimes you look at it from here and you say, hey, why don't you do it this way? But you don't know what they're feeling physically. They may be, going with a portion of their body that's feeling a little bit better at this stage. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and this is why people go to the fitness center and do all those leg presses. This is leg press in real life. Little bit heavier. Imagine loading 300, 400 pounds on that leg press and going and going and going. This is it. Last 10 yards here.
So they'll finish it out. This is amateur hour. They were in third place heading into this second event, but that's going to knock them back just a bit. Shock Dirty to Me were the winners in that second race. Here at the HPTC Open, Adam Hardman, Michael Marusik, Mike Booth. We'll be back right after this with the third race in the sled sprint. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the HPTC Open. We're into the sled sprints, our second of three events here at SMS Equipment Stadium at Shell Place. I'm Adam Hardman. Michael Marusik's with me. Mike Booth is on the field. He's ready to go as well. We're into our third race now. We've got our two front runners, Team Fast, featuring world record holder Fraser O'Neill from the Fort McMurray Fire Department against Limited Edition. They were real tight in round one. Team Fast had a bit of a better time, but they had some infractions to get there. They still maintained number one. This is the big showdown here. What can we expect to see from these two excellent teams, Mike?
I think we'll see a bit of strategy here from these two teams. We've seen it in event number one. They were smart about their work. They skipped some of the heavier deadlifts, took the penalties, still finished first and second. So I think we'll see some strategy. We'll see some quick pace. I think in this event they can't hold anything back. This is going to be quick.
Well, and they're underway here in the third race of the second event, the HPTC Open. There's Fraser O'Neill right off the top from Team Fast.
Oh, with a little bit of a miss on the double under there. So he's going, you can see he's going to go with a higher jump and double unders. Couple misses, but he's going to make up the time later. As we see, oh, there we go. Kettlebell already being moved as Fraser is just picking up his kettlebell, so a little bit of a lead for Limited Edition here.
I'd also like to thank Limited Edition for getting swag with the team name on the back, which makes it easier for me to remember who they are. So with Limited Edition, they are in second place overall going into this final event of this second event. The third heat, final heat, second event. Man, really struggling here, but not struggling like these guys because this is just incredible, but it looks like Limited Edition got a bit of an early lead. Of course, Chalk Dirty to Me put up a pretty good time there in that second heat.
Yeah, now you see a little bit of a teamwork here with the team members lifting that barbell for Fraser O'Neill. Smart teamwork on their part.
See, and those are the little things that are going to make a difference if you want to come in on top here.
Absolutely. So, yeah, like you said, Team Limited Edition with a little bit of a lead as Andre is just crossing his finish line, and this is Brittany Lalonde. Now she's going into the double unders.
So it's going to be very interesting to see because Limited Edition, they were in second place. Now they've got the lead. So now this competition's getting real is what I'd say. Now things are getting real because we're seeing things maybe change hands in terms of the leaderboard. So into the kettlebells now.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're back on the unders there for Team Fast.
Yeah, now this is it though. We're head to head. Ladies are both on the kettlebell lunges there, going through about half the course there. Strong form, really good balance. You see how she's using the right arm to balance her body because her kettlebell's on the left. Great form, moving into that front squat. Again, she power cleaned that bar herself. Like we said, a little bit of different strategy. We'll see.
So here we are, HPTC Open. We're into our final heat of the sled sprints. Chalk Dirty to Me has the fastest time so far. They were in fourth place heading into this second event, so they'll probably be at least in third after this. So it'll be interesting to see. I thought, Fast had a good opening round. They were in first place, but trailing here to Limited Edition.
Yeah, we see Team Fast behind for the first time in the competition. So this is interesting. We'll see if they can make up a little bit of ground in Part B and Part C of this event, which is obviously the stadium run and the sled push.
Well, this is an incredibly difficult event. I mean, this is just the first part of it for those who are just maybe tuning into this broadcast. You're going to see quite the challenge of endurance, including a run around the field. So you said 400 meters. I think it might even be a little longer than that, pretty close. So that's quite the difficult thing to do. 400 meters, a challenging run at the best of times, difficult after what they're going to do in this first portion. So pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, we saw in our shot Matt Lalonde going through that kettlebell lunge, but you know, his teammate Caitlin, she was already ready with that skipping rope in her hand. So again, great strategy. As we're watching Team Fast here, easy double unders. We see, you know, they're unbroken, going through that kettlebell lunge now. Short steps, again, using that arm to counterbalance. Probably going to go with single arm, the same arm, all through the 16 steps.
So the question now, Team Fast a little behind, trailing slightly here to limited edition. Can they catch him? So that's what the rest of this race is going to be about. Are we going to see a change of hands at the top of the leaderboard, or will Team Fast be able to come back here in this final heat of the second event, our sled sprints at the HPTC Open Challenge? SMS Equipment Shell Place, MacDonald Island. Michael, things are just heating up.
They are, and Caitlin is going through her double unders here in a slight lead against Team Fast. I don't see many things changing here, Adam. I think Part A is going to stay the way it is, and we'll see if Team Fast can really pick up their pace on the run and on the sled push.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here as we take a look at the entire event. Very impressive day here down at MacDonald Island. Great to see an event like this in the community, in our region. So now back into the jump rope post and those unders, taking the choice of either the single or the double. It'll be interesting to see if they can catch up. They're not making much of a dent, like you said, in this actual event, so maybe it'll have to come later.
And here's Tia Morari. She is a strong athlete. She's going to run through this course quick. 16 steps, 16 single steps with that kettlebell overhead, single arm. Her arm needs to be straight. Her back knee needs to touch the ground for a rep to count. She is catching up a little bit.
So they're making up some ground here. We'll see if they can go all the way. Of course, if they could do that, that'd be a huge showing for them. That would give them a pretty strong lead heading into the final round. Of course, if limited edition, depending on where these times line up with Chalk Dirty to Me, you know, if they can hold it, we could have a very interesting final round where it'll be kind of a winner-take-all scenario. Of course, that's what we're hoping for the sold-out crowd here at SMS Equipment Shell Place.
And there we go.
And they're off on the run. They're in the second portion here, and they're looking like they're going pretty fast, Michael.
And this is the pace. I would love to see this shot head-to-head with heat number 1 and heat number 2, because these teams are sprinting. We have one member lagging behind a bit, but of course she just finished Part A. But we really see Matt there taking the lead on that run as Team Fast is finishing their front squats there.
So pretty impressive performance here from limited edition. Although if you look at the clock, I don't know if they're maybe doing as well as Chalk Dirty to Me. It's going to be pretty close.
It will be, and you know they're about what are they, 6.5 minutes though. So these guys are 6.5 minutes in. That's about a minute and a half per athlete for Part A. Amazing performance, really going through this course fast.
And so here they go. Now we have Team Fast. They're going to look to see if they can play some catch-up, Mike.
Yeah, and well, our world record holder Fraser O'Neill is leading his team with a probably, let's say, 450-yard sprint, what it seems like.
So it looks like we're going to have some athletes coming into your picture here shortly as part of this run. So Team Fast just coming up the stairs. You'll see them in just a minute. But they're looking up to make up some ground here on limited edition, who are really kind of pouring it on, looking strong as they head into the final portion of this sled sprints event.
And here's the kicker, Adam. We have Team Limited Edition in the lead with their last athlete lagging behind, and Team Fast chasing them with Fraser O'Neill leading. However, this is a team event. The team needs to wait until the last athlete finishes the run. before they start pushing the sled. So these teams, I don't know if if this is their strategy or if they're gonna wait a bit at the end, but they're really not staying together here.
Well, it's always a challenging in an event like this, really in any sport. You can have a strategy and an idea of what you want to do, but until you actually get out there and get on the field or on the court or the ice, whatever it might be, you're really not going to know. So I think we're kind of seeing that here with Team Fast, and limited edition seems to only be getting stronger as this event goes on.
They are. We see their first athlete coming back on the field, Matt Lalonde.
Yeah, they look ready to roll. Of course, this sled push portion is just beyond difficult. It doesn't necessarily look like it. Of course, now the shirt comes off. When you're in the lead, you can do stuff like that.
And only if you're in the lead.
So here's, we cut back and we're going back to the field where a team limited edition is just getting underway. So they look like a pretty strong lead here, and they're making some good time. So they may be able to finish in first place and really take the bull by the horns in this overall event.
They do, as Team Fast is also coming back to the stadium after their stadium run. Fraser O'Neill leading his team back on the field, as we have Team Limited Edition pushing that sled, Matt, Andre, Brittany, and Caitlin.
But this looks like an unsurmountable lead. It's definitely not too close. So they've got a pretty good lead. As long as they finish strong, they'll definitely win the actual heat. Now it's about a race against the clock. Will they have a better time than Chalk Dirty to Me, who have the fastest time thus far heading into the final race?
Yeah, now we have Team Limited Edition pushing that sled. It's actually great to see them shirtless. You know why? Because we see all the muscles that they're using, and you're looking at their traps and delts. That's the whole shoulder. They're using their pecs and glutes and calves, everything they've got. Again, different strategies, arms out, arms in. It's just quite amazing. But
look at this. Fraser O'Neill is doing what he can now, and so they got to go back the other way, but they're doing a pretty good job at least making this interesting.
Yeah, so what we've seen so far, all teammates were participating in the event. Now we see a little bit of a switch where the two male athletes are really taking lead and pushing that sled back and forth.
So we're coming down the stretch they come, limited edition. But they've got enough of a lead. I don't think they'll be able to be caught up, but you never know. Hopefully they didn't go out too strong early in the first half of this third portion of the second event, the sled sprints. But we'll see what happens here as Team Fast looks to make up the lead. HPTC Open, Adam Hardman with you, Michael Marusek, Mike Booth on the field. Of course, Neville Productions overseeing the entire operation. This is quite impressive. The athleticism is wonderful. The temperature's not so hot, but you know what? The competition is. And so we're into the final race here. I don't think Fraser O'Neill is going to have enough, him and his team Fast, to catch up here. So it's going to come down to times, but a great time here for limited edition. This will propel them, it looks like, into first place in the competition.
And this is great, Adam. We're going to see Team Fast won the first event, Team Limited Edition with the win in the second event. They're going to go head-to-head in the event number 3, and it's going to be amazing. These teams are so good, and they're so close.
I can't wait for it. No pun intended, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but, we're going to have an incredible final here coming up. And, of course, Chalk Dirty to Me with a good time there as well here in the sled sprints. So.
Yeah, as limited edition finished, and we're going to be watching Team Fast finishing. And, of course, time matters at this point. Like you said, Chalk Dirty to Me had a great time in this event, so let's see if these guys can match it.
Yeah, we'll have to see where this lines up. I think it's actually going to be pretty close. Yeah. And there they are, Team Fast finishing out. They're going to come in second place in this third heat of our second event, the sled sprint. So that wraps things up here for event number 2 at the HPTC Open. You saw it, limited edition with the big win. There looks like they're going to go into the finale in first place, at least first or second. They'll be in that final pairing. So we'll be right back very shortly with our final event, the HPTC Open Challenge, part of the HPTC Open here at SMS Equipment Stadium. We'll be right back to MacDonald Island in just a minute. All right, everybody, welcome back to the HPTC Open. Adam Hardman, Michael Marusek, Mike Booth down on the field. We're going to go to Mike in just a second, but some exciting action thus far, Mike. We're through our first two events. We're through the all-out obstacle course. We're through the sled sprints. Of course, in the all-out obstacle course, we had Team Fast coming out on top. They were in first place with the world record holder, Fraser O'Neill from the Fort McMurray Fire Department. But then in the sled sprints, we saw a bit of a change of pace. We saw a bit of a turn of the tables. We saw limited edition coming on top. So they're going to head into our final event coming up, the HPTC Open in first place. So let's go back and see what we saw there thus far in that second round. Tell us what we're seeing, Mike.
Yeah, like you said, limited edition really hit this event strong, and I think as we're heading into more CrossFit movement, they're using their strategy and their and their skills. But now we're watching Trace Bozarth, who was going from kind of a single leg skip to a double leg skip, single unders on the other side. There's some great form on that kettlebell lunge overhead single arm. Kyla Butts, team flex appeal here with a great form again. Like I said before, that arm to counterbalance so she doesn't get thrown to the side.
Of course, that was our first race of the second event, the sled sprints. Our first heat was Flex Appeal and the Misfits. Flex Appeal coming out on top with a pretty good time that might move them up the standings once we get those official results in front of us. But this part of it, man, was just incredible. This sled, of course, that was the third event. And, of course, the running was second. So it was amazing what these teams did in terms of their fitness.
Amazing. Like you said, there was a part A, part B, and part C of this event. Each part pretty well a single individual workout for an average athlete, but these guys went back to back to back like beasts. This is Fraser O'Neill here pushing that sled there in the heat number 3.
Of course, Fraser O'Neill's with Team Fast. That wraps up our replay portion. Sorry, not the relay portion, our replay portion here, the second event, the sled sprints. We've got the top team, limited edition. They were the winners in our second event, the sled sprint. So we're going to head down to the field now. We're going to head down to Mike Booth. Mike, take it away.
Thanks, guys. Back here joined with limited editions, Matt Lalonde. And Matt, 2 events down now. How's the body feeling?
Body's feeling pretty good. The legs, lower body's hurting, but we're ready to work the upper body now. So.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about these last couple events here for sure. Were definitely the toughest, I have to imagine. You go from squats to having to do a 400 to 500 meter run, and then you finish pushing the sled. How do you control yourself and get through something like that?
Pace it, and then you work as a team. You share the workload, and you get through it together, right? So that's what we train for.
All right, fantastic. And last but not least here, conditions have been kind of not fantastic today. You guys keep running around there without shirts. I mean, how does that make sense? How's everything been going for that?
Once you're warmed up, it's good to go, but it's a CrossFit thing. You work out no shirt on.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks, Matt, and best of luck to you guys going forward.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Back to you guys.
All right, Mike, thanks. Of course, he's not going to tell you. I think there's a little bit of an intimidation factor going on. Matt Lalonde, Team Limited Edition. They're now in first place heading into the end of this event, Mike. It's going to be very exciting. We're just getting the field set up. And you heard Matt talk about it, a lot of lower body stuff in those first 2 events. But now we're going to see what Jerry Neville has called the HPTC Open Challenge at the HPTC Open. We'll be right back soon. They're just getting things set up here at SMS Equipment Stadium at Shell Place at MacDonald Highland here in Fort McMurray.